Hey guys, what's up? I'm making today's video because I watched loads of these in the past, mostly just for fun, and then kind of about 2 weeks ago I started to watch these to actually take advice and listen to the experiences of people. So whether you are watching this for fun or whether you are yourself at the stage I was a couple of weeks ago and looking for advice and experience, here is my Tokyo Disneyland audition experience. I never thought I'd make this video. I always used to watch them and I don't know, I can never see myself as a Disney face character. But there was an audition that I could make. They're always on weekdays and usually I was at school, but obviously it's some holidays, and it was in London, which I can get to by myself really easily. And my mum kind of convinced me that I should go, and honestly, that would be my advice to you as well. If you can get to an audition and you're free and you have nothing else on, totally go. It was such a fun experience and I came out just feeling so high, and it was probably the happiest I've been that week. There was some other stuff going on and it just made me feel so good again. So yeah, if you can get to an audition and you aren't sure whether you want to go or not, totally go. And I know for this one and for a lot of the other ones I've kind of looked at, you don't have to pre-sign up or sign up in advance. So if you decide that morning that actually you don't want to go, it's totally fine. You've not committed to anything. You can do it very spontaneously as well. And the only things they ask for, at least for this one, was a CV and a photo. CV, you could just print off the one you already have. I edited mine a little to get rid of anything that I didn't feel was necessary, so there's a lot of stuff about the writing things I've done in the past which I didn't think was necessary for this, and I kind of put more of an emphasis on some of the performing things I've done in the past. And then photo, if you don't have a proper headshot, don't worry. I took my school photo along with me because all they're looking for is a recent picture of you that's against a plain background, preferably. So school picture works really well because it's professionally taken, probably quite recent if you've had one done like this school year, and it will always be against plain background. If you can have a more headshot done, like headshot style photo done, that's amazing, but don't worry if you can't, because you will not be the only one that doesn't have one. They also didn't actually ask for them from us at my one. I guess they'd ask at a much later stage, but everyone always had their photos and CVs out, but just in case they asked, but no one I saw handed them over. So the sign-in times for my audition were between 9 and 10, and I arrived at the dance studio at about 25 to 9. So not ridiculously early, but I thought it would be a lot busier than it was. I was expecting queues like all the way down the road, but it was only kind of like, there were like these long thin London buildings, and it was only about a few buildings back that the queue went by the time I got there. So I just joined the back and I started talking to the people that had joined the queue around the same time as me, and honestly, even if you aren't the kind of person that can talk to people easily, you will do that day. These are people that have things in common with you already, whether it's the performance or the love of Disney. You're going to find something to talk to these people about, and it's going to be so nice to have people to talk to throughout the day, because there is a lot of waiting around to be done, and you're going to be nervous, so it's nice to talk to people, because I didn't really feel nervous at all until I was just doing the dance in a small group. So it was really nice to have people to talk to. If you're not the kind of person that will make friends easily, maybe bring a book. I had a book in my bag, but I didn't need it. It was just for the train journey, really. Yeah, so I got to the place at 25 to 9, they hadn't started letting people in yet. They started to let people in, probably about 10 to 9. So I wasn't waiting outside too long. And then, bear in mind, I wasn't too far back in the queue. About 3 people ahead of me, they stopped sending them upstairs to the signing room because they wanted to keep that as clear as possible. So they started to send us downstairs to a just another little dance studio room where we could just sit and chill for a bit. And this is what I mean, you're going to be sat around for a lot of the day. So we just did a bit more talking. We kind of some of us changed into jazz shoes, which I would recommend if you have dance shoes. Bring them along, because for me, I find it easier when you're doing like spinning. There was some spinning in the dance. It's a lot easier in dance shoes than trainers. But if you don't have dance shoes, don't worry, trainers will do just fine. And again, if you don't have dance shoes because you don't have dance experience, do not worry at all. There were quite a few people there that I spoke to that didn't have any experience in dance. So it's not going to put you at much of a disadvantage. Because it's mostly just to see if you can move and sway, and it's not a really rigorous dance routine as such. So we're downstairs there for quite a while, like a really long time, and a lot of people are coming in, and we're kind of in a corner. We're in the front corner, so we're kind of near the door, but it did mean that we weren't the first lot of people to leave, even though we're some of the first people to come in. So you may lose your place in queue for a bit, but if you're downstairs in that room, you will get into the audition. Don't worry about the queue timings for that. They know how many people they've let in downstairs. So then when they call us up, we get taken to the sign-in room. So we just join the queue, and they'll ask for your name. I think it's just your name and your gender that you write down on the sign-in sheet, and then you get given your number. I was number 44, which I was quite happy with because there were like 140 people there that day, and I was just like, I'm in the first like nice number of people. And then we get taken to a different studio. It's a lot of going to different studio rooms. And as soon as we get in there, they call numbers 1 through to 40. So I was just a little bit outside of that cut. And then came more waiting, just more talking. You get quite close to the people that you end up talking to because you do a lot of it. People, when I first got into that room, because they're just called 1 to 40, it was really empty. Because obviously I was 44, so there weren't that many people in there. So people were starting to warm up a bit. But then the more people that got in there, because by the time that I got called, there were people in like 135 like number. So there's a lot of people there. So by the end of it, there's no room to move up. You're all sat down, just talking. So if you are in there early and it's empty, warm up. But you know, just to make yourself feel a little better. But you're not going to be able to warm up for too long, and you will be there a while. So if you think it's not going to be effective by the time you get called in the room, don't worry about it. But if you have a chance to do it, then you do. And then it was a really long time before we got called. So sign-in had shut by the time we got called. It was like 10:15 at least. And then we get called, they call 40 through to 80, so they do it in blocks of 40. And we get taken to the audition room, and because I'd watched videos before, the minute I got in there, it was big, cheesy Showtime smiles, because that's what Disney want. And I was just like smiling the whole time. People were introducing themselves. They had people there that were from Tokyo Disney. They had people there that were from the company that recruit people from England for Tokyo Disney, and they had some choreographers there. It was just like, there were about 6 kind of official people there, all from these different places that were all just watching. They'll introduce them to you. And then there are 2 choreographers, at least there were for our audition. One choreographer teaches the girls and one teaches the boys. It's pretty much the same routine, but when they teach the boys, they teach it much more regal and up, and the girls it's more floaty and swayy. So I think it's just to save any confusion, so that you can easily copy the exact movements if you aren't like overly experienced in dance, because obviously they will expect you to put your own character flair onto it. But it just makes it a little easier when you're learning if the person you're learning off of has the same kind of body language that you want in your audition The audition song they used was Happiness Is Here from the Happiness Is Here parade in Tokyo. So obviously really like big cheesy Disney songs, so it was really easy to keep that smile going. And it was really quite simple. I think the most advanced move in there was a pirouette, but it didn't have to be technical. It wasn't like a ballet pirouette. It was more of like a jazz pirouette. Is that a thing? 16 years of dance lessons, and I can't tell you if that's a thing, but and then people do sometimes get caught up by the box step, but it is just like, you know, simple, and lots of big arms and smiley and floaty and swayy, and just it was our first 8 or 16 counts were taken up with greeting. We had to wave in character, and kind of that's when they wanted to see a bit of flair, and then you'd start the dance. And it really wasn't many counts, 32 counts at the max, and then so they teach it to you and you get to run it a few times, and they'll make you swap lines. And there were people that were staying in the back line and not wanting to move, but I would recommend going to the front, because even though the choreographers are teaching and not making notes, there are people that are watching you. So if you can get to the front and smile and stuff, it just shows you that you're eager a bit. And then we did it half and half, and then we did it in our groups of 4. And in videos that I've watched in the past, they said before you do it in groups of 4, they let you have time to rehearse. This wasn't the case on our audition day. I don't know whether it's just because maybe I'd watched more DCP auditions, and so maybe because they're more America based, they run it slightly differently, or whether it was just because the amount of people, or I don't know, but we didn't have time to go over it before they called us in our groups of 4. They just called the first 4 and went straight up, and if you were listening carefully, it was 40 to 80, and I was number 44, so I was in that first group of 4 to go, which actually at the time I was that's what made me more nervous, but I'm more thankful for it now, because I think if I'd have been watching everyone else, it would have just made me more nervous. So you do it twice in your 4, because they had X's that were like 1 forward, 1 back, 1 forward, 1 back. And so I started back on the end, and then they'll ask you just to walk forward. This did confuse people. They tried to go to the forward X, just walk straight forward. And just keep smiling, because I fell out of my pirouette on the second time, and I had to put the wrong leg out, and I was just like, this is a mess. But even though in my head I was like, oh, this is a mess, my face was just like, happy Disney smiles. Keep not pretending that you're crying on the inside. And then just they watched everyone else do it. And then they made the first cut. And yeah, I didn't make it past the first cut. They didn't keep many short people. I'm hoping that's why. There was someone that had been to a lot of auditions before that said she thought it looked like they were casting Snow White that day, which actually is something that I'd heard before, and I'd forgotten when I got caught up in the idea of going, is that the casting call was open for every character on the website, but Disney don't like to give away who they're casting for. They like to keep that magic alive. So even though it may be open for your casting call, you might not necessarily be who Disney are looking for, but that's why you just keep going, because the day you don't go will be the day that Disney are looking for you. It's how I have it in my mind. But it was such a fun experience. I definitely recommend it if you're thinking about going, if you're kind of a bit tentative. The most you've got to lose is like your train fare there, is the way I looked at it. Like the only thing I lost that day was my train fare, except then I spent time on Oxford Street afterwards. So I made a bit of a day of it. The minimum you're gonna gain is a really fun experience and some like good friends for a day, and the maximum you're gonna gain is like a dream come true. So go, have fun, smile, don't let anything hold you back, whether it's like a lack of acting experience, lack of dance experience. don't let that hold you back. Just go and have a blast and like leave all inhibitions behind, because in that room you've got to prove that you will do anything as that character, and then just the rest is in their hands. But you can't let it get to you too much, because it may just be that that day they're not looking for someone that looks like you. Because, for example, if they were looking for Snow White that day, one of the girls I was talking to in line looked identical to Jasmine. But if you look exactly like Jasmine, there's no way you're ever going to be cast as Snow White. That's just the reality of the situation. So don't let the fact you don't get cast one day bring you down, because you don't know the reasons that you weren't cast that day. Disney barely give anything away. So just keep your head held high and just remember that it's one of the most fun experiences you will ever have. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments and I will do my best to answer them, or based on my experience of the day or what I found out beforehand. Give this video a share so that you can like maybe help some friends out. Check out my social network links, they'll be in the description as usual, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye!